For decades, the United States has operated on a single, non-negotiable directive. Iran must never become a nuclear power. If they do, the existing balance of power in the Middle East effectively ends. This is because a nuclear deterrent makes U.S. military threats irrelevant. Without fear of intervention, Iran can bypass the American financial system, selling oil in yuan or yen. If the U.S. can't enforce its will, the incentive for Gulf states to stick with the dollar disappears. The petrodollar system relies on the U.S. being the sole provider of security in the region. The moment that security guarantee is proven empty, the foundational agreement that keeps the global economy tied to the U.S. dollar begins to disintegrate. For 20 years, the U.S. and Israel have utilized a combination of digital warfare and targeted operations to stop this from happening. But these aggressive tactics have consistently triggered the opposite of their intended effect. The struggle isn't over a single bomb. It is an effort to stop the collapse of American economic hegemony. And that pressure has locked Washington into a cycle of desperate escalation. The opening move was Stuxnet, a highly sophisticated computer virus designed by U.S. and Israeli intelligence. It successfully infiltrated Iranian nuclear sites, secretly forcing the centrifuges to spin out of control until they physically tore themselves apart. Parallel to the digital attacks, the scientists leading the program, men like Masoud Ali Mohammadi and Mostafa Ahmadi Roshan, began dying in a series of mysterious explosions and high-precision assassinations. These strikes didn't force a surrender. Instead, Iranian leadership concluded that if they stopped their pursuit, their fate was already sealed. They viewed the bomb as their only path to survival. To protect their remaining assets, Iran immediately abandoned surface-level facilities and moved their uranium enrichment operations deep into mountain tunnels, shielding them from both airstrikes and satellite surveillance. The covert war failed to stop the program. It simply drove it underground, relocating enrichment facilities into mountain tunnels that are virtually impossible to reach. By 2009, the Obama administration moved from shadow operations to overt economic warfare. The U.S. cut Iran out of the SWIFT payment system, effectively paralyzing their economy. Shortages became so extreme that hospitals lacked basic anesthesia, making routine surgeries impossible for citizens. This total economic isolation eventually forced Iran to negotiate, leading to the signing of the 2015 JCPOA agreement in Vienna. Under this deal, Iran agreed to keep their uranium enrichment capped at exactly 3.67%. In exchange for lifting some sanctions, they allowed IAEA inspectors to monitor their facilities around the clock. However, Tehran remained deeply skeptical. They had seen Muammar Gaddafi make a similar disarmament deal with the U.S., only to be overthrown and killed less than a decade later. This agreement was never a stable peace. It was a temporary truce built on economic extortion and the constant Iranian fear of regime change. In 2018, Donald Trump unilaterally withdrew the U.S. from the JCPOA, calling the agreement a disaster and instantly erasing 5 years of diplomatic work. The region spiraled toward conflict. The U.S. assassinated Qasem Soleimani, Iran's second-in-command, and Iran responded by launching ballistic missiles at U.S. air bases in Iraq. Freed from the constraints of the deal, Iran retaliated by rapidly accelerating its nuclear program. They shattered the enrichment limits and quickly pushed their material past the 20% mark. Tearing up the treaty didn't restrain Iran. It provided them with the justification to pursue weapons-grade material with more urgency than before. By April 2021, the Biden administration was in the middle of a delicate attempt to revive the original nuclear deal. During these negotiations, Israel bombed the Natanz enrichment facility, destroying a generation of advanced centrifuges in a single strike. Iran reacted by immediately raising enrichment to 60% as a direct penalty. This put them within reach of the 90% purity needed to fuel a nuclear warhead. When international monitors at the IAEA condemned this move, Iran responded with its most significant escalation yet. They expelled the inspectors and physically removed the monitoring cameras from their sites, cutting off the real-time data feeds the world relied on to track their progress. Decades of digital sabotage, extreme sanctions, and broken treaties have backfired. Iran is now closer to a weapon than ever before, and because the cameras are off, the world has no way of knowing when they will cross the final threshold.